What's up, guys? And today we'll be talking about chord progressions. So a chord progression is basically the order of chords you use in a song. So technically there's no right or wrong answer to this. However, there's a couple rules to make it sound good. First, and probably the most obvious, is that you want to figure out which key you want to write in. And then second, you always want to stop on your one chord, which you might not know what that is, and I'll explain that. I'll explain that later in this video. We gotta explain what the one is, or in other words, what a Roman numeral chord is. So the scale indicates to the scale degree. So the one chord would be the one in a major scale. So let's say we're in the G scale. So the one would be G, and then you just make a triad from that note. So that'd be like G, B, D. But let's say you go up to the fifth, which in this case would be a D, and you make a triad off that, which would be D, F sharp, and A. That would be a 5. That'd be a 5 chord. But that's only the case with root position chords, and I'll explain like what other types of chords there are because I didn't really explain them that well in one of my earlier videos. The two type of chords I'll be talking about today are the first inversion, second inversion, and even a third inversion. So in the first inversion, the third is the lowest note. So instead of it being like root, third, and the fifth, it'd be third, fifth, and then the root, which the root would be an octave higher as the root is now on the top. Next, we have second inversion, which the fifth would be the lowest note this time. So it'd be the fifth, the root, and then the third. On the next step, we have a third inversion, which I think you know where this is going, but the third inversion can only happen if you have like a 4-note chord, like a seventh. So, like the seventh would be at the bottom in that case. And I think that's all the ones I'm going to cover. I mean, I'm sure there's technically like fourth inversions, maybe fifth inversions, if you do those extended chords I was talking about in my last video. Now, in those chords, sometimes they are like major, minor, diminished, even augmented in some cases. But like, let's take the one in a major key. Obviously, that would be major. But if you do a 2 chord in a major key, it'd be minor. So just because the key is major doesn't mean every single chord in that key is major. So let's go over major key. So the 1 is major, the 2 is minor, the 3 is minor, the 4 is major, the 5 is major, the 6 is minor, and the 7th is diminished. So that's pretty weird. And then in a natural minor key, which is the only minor key I'll be talking about today, it goes something like this. So the 1 is minor, the 2 is diminished, the 3 is major, the 4 is minor, the 5 is minor, the 6 and the 7 are major. So it's basically different every way to the major one. This may be a shorter video since like a lot of it isn't stuff I can really explain. We talked about diatonic chord progressions, and we talked about natural minor chord progressions. However, there's a couple more. We have the melodic minor chord progression, and we have the harmonic minor chord progression. And that's only a few. There are probably way more that you can probably look up on your own time because there's like way too many to count. But those are all the chord progressions I wanted to cover in this video. But if you want to learn more about chord progressions, I would look into them by probably more qualified people than me. But yeah, on my next video, I'm not really sure what I'm going to cover. On my script, I was going to talk about like stemming and like syncopation and stuff. But if y'all have something you want me to cover, just comment them down below. But with that said, stay awesome and stay skibbity.